Like weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want the other one? There's an extra.
No, we're good.
Okay.
You sure?
Yes. Good evening and welcome to the March 10th, 2022 Special Town Board meeting.
No, this is the
Oh,
work session.
oh, I'm sorry.
We're there first.
I went ahead of it a little bit. This is our work session for the Harrison Recreation Center.
That's it.
Nice to see everyone.
We don't have to do anything, you know.
I'm sorry?
We don't
Yeah,
have-
whenever you're
No, we don't have
ready.
Start.
No, yeah, we could start.
Yep.
You don't have to do the roll call.
Yeah, please, come on up.
Wait, is Lauren on?
Do I need to use the microphone?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to go to,
Yeah, see the podium? I'm sorry.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I just want, my video is, my service is not great. The video is gonna slow down, so I'm here.
Okay.
Good evening. Russ Davidson with KG&D Architects here to talk to you about your recreation center project, which was moving along quite nicely before a little thing called the pandemic happened, and a golf course. So we are happy to be back here to discuss the possibility of moving forward again. In case you forgot what it looked like, this is the rendering that is part of the banner that is still on the Sollazzo Center. You had commissioned us to do complete design, and because of the circumstances mentioned, we stopped at the end of design development. So we actually have fairly detailed drawings done, hundreds of pages and specifications, and the project was put on hold. So that's called the design development phase, which is about 100% of the design is done, and then the next steps would be construction documents and bidding the project and construction administration. But at the time the project was put on hold, there was a couple of pending tasks that we feel need to be done before you can complete the environmental review process and approve the funding. And we're also very strongly recommending an additional cost estimate be done at this time, because it's been 2 years since we did a design development estimate, which did include some cost escalation, but I think everybody's aware that we're in an unusual time in our economy, and so we have a proposal into the town to actually hire an independent cost consultant, not KG&D, to do that estimate on your behalf. We don't expect it to be earth-shatteringly different, but it has been 2 years. And when you do approve funding, you want to make sure you approve the correct amount of funding to get the project done properly. So that proposal is in front of you. We also want to do a little bit of testing, which again was about to happen. There's some costs involved with the testing. One of them is to drill a well to test the viability of the ground source heat pump design. So, as you all know, there's a gas moratorium underway from Con Edison. So we can't get natural gas service for your new recreation center. And we knew this 2 years ago. And the plan was to use what's called a geothermal heating and cooling system, or a ground source heat pump system. So it's a very energy efficient, very green system. It'll serve the town well. This isn't experimental technology. We've done it in several places on commercial facilities, and your building is a prime candidate because it requires heating and significant air conditioning. But in order to ensure that that's going to work before you invest millions of dollars in it, you usually drill one test well in the ground to test the conductivity. So before we commit to the final cost of the project, it makes sense to do a test well. The drilling of the well will be somewhere in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, but our engineer will help you get bids on it and then analyze the thermal information he gets from the test well. So again, that's just an important step before you finalize funding. And then the other portion of the testing is a little simpler. Your civil engineer from Woodard and Curran needs to confirm his storm drainage design. So he has to dig some holes in various places of the site, and they got to pour water in it and see how it percolates to make sure the stormwater design is 100% in accordance with his assumptions. And then the last one is very simple, which is a hydrant flow test, just to check the water pressure to make sure you don't need a fire pump in the building to run the fire protection system. So all three of these things are all related back to viability and cost. Because if you're going to complete and move forward with a budget, we want to make sure the stormwater, the ground source heat pump, and the fire protection system are adequate. So it's testing and cost estimating that's the next step, in addition to starting the environmental review process. So I'm here with Fred Wells, our planner and landscape architect, and Fred has prepared a bunch of information for you to start it, and we put together a little timeline, which I think has been distributed to you, that shows if you do prove to move forward, this is one possible way, probably the fastest possible way, frankly, that you could move forward with that. And that would be that you have a lot of the documents submitted to you as of this date. At your next meeting, you would need to adopt a resolution to circulate the notice of intent to be lead agency to other agencies. I know that the town board probably doesn't do the lead agency role in SECRA all that often, but you can for this facility. And Fred or I can answer questions on it in a minute if you'd like. And then you distribute the environmental assessment form part 1, and you're sort of underway on March 18th. Between now and April 12th, assuming you authorize us to proceed based on our proposal, we'll proceed with the testing we mentioned and the cost estimate. It's not a huge cost, but it's important before we launch into construction documents and finalizing the funding. And then in April 12th, you could submit the entire package, we'll submit the entire package to the town board and a draft resolution for a negative declaration. April 17th, you would be able to assume the lead agency status. And then as early as April 21st, you would be equipped to make a determination of significance as a town board, which we would expect would be a negative declaration. And then after that date, you could vote to fund the project. So it's a fairly fast schedule. You can go slower. But that's about as fast as it can take place. You can't vote to authorize funding until you complete the environmental quality review process. And then after that, we would go into the construction documents phase and fine tune things and get it ready for bidding and for construction.
Oh, sorry, can I ask some questions? I'm sorry, I guess this is Councilwoman Leader, I'm on the Zoom behind you. I guess I'm surprised because that we're at this accelerated path, because when we left off 2 years ago or before the pandemic, we were discussing an extensive set of issues that were very significant around the design plan itself and about the site and the location. And the reason the project stopped for a number of reasons, the pandemic was one of them. The other one was the funding mechanism and the failure for us to have done SECRA correctly. But the third was that there were very serious concerns about traffic issues, access to the building, whether it even made sense to have this large of a facility in that exact location. And given the pandemic and the question about how much people are going back to indoor gyms, it seems to me that there are a whole bunch of other questions that we should be answering on behalf of the town. And also, I think we have a lot of residents who are gonna be very concerned about spending what was 2 years ago about $28 million after we've just made all this massive investment in Willow Ridge. So I guess I'd like to hear maybe from the mayor, because I know this is obviously his initiative to have you guys come in. We have to do something. I'm not clear why we're not also re-reviewing some of the major issues that were raised when this project was paused before the pandemic.
Hi, Lauren, how are you? By the way, this was all very well vetted, and the reason we were stopped, it was SEQA, it was a wrong process that led it to stop, and plus the pandemic. This was under review for approximately 3 years. We had public hearings. I believe we went through all the proper procedures. We examined the height, the lot coverage, drainage. I'm happy to hear about geothermal heating. And also, there's a solar value to this, is there not?
Yes.
So it's totally as green as we can get at this time. I believe the residents do want it. Going over our budget with Maureen today pretty extensively, we do have a path forward. I believe also into this project was a little bit of a buffer of almost $1 million. So it leaves us a little room, and we're so far along. We have so much invested. We absorbed properties. We have a few more procedures to go through as far as drilling. I believe we are long overdue. The building is approximately 115 years old. I'm quite frankly embarrassed that our children, our grandchildren, and the future children of our town are dealing with a building like that. We deserve better, we can do better, and we will do better. Thank you.
I totally agree with you about the Sollazzo, it has to go. But there were a whole bunch of issues that were raised by members of the community that we had extensive conversations about that we never addressed.
No, that's
In
not true,
particular,
Lauren.
the traffic
Not
flow
true. We
and-
had public hearings, everyone vetted their views, let's be accurate, and we're moving forward. And we were moving forward at that time. And the secret review.
At the time, KSA was supposed to come back to us with proposals for how to address the very significant traffic issues that were raised during those public hearings and were not addressed.
Yeah, we-
still have issues.
we
with
have
the drop-off.
traffics.
As far as
We
I
do
understand,
have-
unless those issues have been addressed, they were very significant.
Lauren-
So I'm not aware of us having addressed those issues.
It's also going to be addressed again during CEQA. So we do have a turnaround. Our engineers, we have public opinion on it, and we have to do it again. So all the things, your concerns, will be addressed again. As far as public hearings, I don't believe it's necessary. And the CEQA review will reveal more traffic studies, and it'll be current.
You have a full traffic study. There was some issues about drop-off areas. And the building actually was modified. And the curb cuts were modified to provide drop-off areas and stacking on the side street.
So we have a turnaround at this point. If you're coming down Calvert Street, you turn right into the lot,
Right?
you go around a circle, and when you exit, you have to go right.
Yeah, well,
So we have-
and you have drop-off lanes on Calvert. to
Where the
drop off.
property and curb lines are set back.
Yes.
So this is gonna come under our CEQA review.
That
So we'll-
was all brought up early on, has been, the drawings were modified prior to completing design development, and that was discussed before the project went on hold.
Before we go further, may I speak, Mr. Cleary, would you be happy to give us your opinion on this location, the building fit, and how you feel about this project? Sure. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, I obviously, I can't comment on the financial side of this, so that's your decision with respect to this. The question really is, what do we do with the site? So the building is in disrepair, something has to be done with respect to the building. So you have some choices, repair, replace. If you took those choices off the table, what else would you do with the property? So if you were to tear the building down, it's now municipally owned land, what would you do with it? You could build a parking lot. I don't know if that's a relevant use in this particular location. Other things that are done with municipal properties are you sell it. You make money by selling municipal property. What could you do on it? There's 2 zones on the property. The bigger piece where the Sollazzo Center is, it's R75. That's about a half an acre lot, 25,000 square foot, something like that. That gives you 3 residential lots in the R75 zone. The little corner, Voch's piece, is 7,500 square feet, and that's in the PB zone. That produces a very small commercial building. So the sale of it for development, negligible. I don't know that that's a moneymaker for the town necessarily. Let's assume you wanted to rezone the property to something else. What would you rezone it to? As you recently saw from the build-out analysis, We have potential of 500 units in the downtown today under existing zoning. So why do we need more units on this area? Why would you rezone it for more multifamily residential? We probably don't need it there. So I don't know that other uses are particularly relevant on the site or valuable economically for you to sell the property for some other development purpose. So that brings us back to the plan we have before us. There is a planning rationale for creating this sort of government quadrangle here that's bounded by the townhouse, the library, the train station, and the Sollazzo Center. I have a theory with respect to what's happened in our downtown, which is that nothing happened for 100 years. Now something's happening very dramatic. Most of that involves the input and the development of residences. People are going to be living in our downtown. That's wonderful. Our ground level in our downtown is a question mark right now, as it is everywhere. What's happening to retail use across the country, everywhere? It's an unknown and it's a question mark. So I can't tell you what we should be doing with respect to the ground floor spaces, but what I will tell you is that we're now going to have hundreds of additional residents living in our downtown, and what should we be doing is creating a public space that's interesting and active. It's called placemaking. You've heard me say that name before. This is an opportunity to create a very unique place. So if the finances are there to do something like that, from a planning perspective, this is not a bad exercise in placemaking. It would create a very unique public realm for the new people that are going to live in our downtown, and it activates the area, and it creates a little more activation on this side of the tracks as well. So there's a rationale, but again, I don't control the wallet, so I can't speak to that side of this. And by the way, the seeker issue is yours and yours entirely. So we will vet traffic. You will have to vet infrastructural impacts. All the issues that Lauren mentioned, you have to address, and you have to be satisfied that they're being satisfactorily mitigated. So that's part of your job. That's next on the agenda, I suppose.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Cleary.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, it has the proposed design has a large multipurpose recreational space that can be 2 high school-sized basketball courts, which are heavily in demand. It can be reconfigured to have 1 full-size court with a lot of retractable bleachers, so you can also use it for special events. And those bleachers are accessed from below and above. It does have a fitness room. It's a minor component of the overall recreation center. It's not a health club. And then it has a lot of multi-purpose event rooms that can be used for senior meetings, dance, all the things that people need meeting space for. So it is a very flexible facility. It is definitely a larger version of the Sollazzo Center. It still does have recreation center. It has a room dedicated to teens, and obviously all the support you need for that. Office space for both the town recreation department and the operation of the center itself. Very ample toilet rooms. You can open one side of the facility without opening the other side of the facility. There's storage underneath, and as much off-street parking as could be provided on the site. And it's a very green and sustainable building. The last estimate was somewhere around 29 million. We do expect that to go up after 2 years, but that does include the, things like the ground source heat pump field, which will have a payback in energy savings probably in the first 15 years of the facility.
Russ, do you have any floor plans that the other board members could see on that board, or just the plan roughly, because they might not be familiar with it
You know what?
from before?
Jerry.
We can distribute them. We didn't bring a full presentation.
I believe Jerry's going to grab some of the original floor plans.
Was there any thought to underground parking?
There is.
There is. Oh, great. How many spots?
Yeah, we got as much as we
Yeah.
could underneath the building.
There's rock on one side of the property.
5, 7, 9, 11 spaces underneath the building.
Okay, so nothing substantial, there's not,
No, because we did do some test borings early on, and we found that the north side of the site was completely granite.
okay.
And we did a study on that. It was not cost-effective to remove all that rock in the downtown area for subsurface parking. So that's the schedule, and we can provide the updated floor plans, and I'm sure that, Jerry and I have already been talking about tweaking a few things here and there on the design, which is certainly natural during the construction documents process, but not redesigning the building at this phase, because that would be tantamount to starting over.
And there's no outdoor space?
Well, there's a little bit of space between the sidewalk and the building, and we did actually, during the design, when one of the comments was it would be good to allow space to get outside, we actually have a little bit rooftop terrace. So there is a controlled and secure rooftop space which will look over the park to the east.
Okay.
Goodness, we have Maurice Park right here.
And we worked with the committee on the whole exterior appearance. It does have some stone that
Yeah,
sort of
you mind, Jerry?
matches the
Just pass it.
existing
Yes,
center.
inside, I
Yeah,
think.
and there's, how big is the walking track, or the track? you
Two basketball fields. Two basket, yeah.
Is it a quarter-mile track, like a
No.
standard, or no?
No, no, that would be a much bigger building. I think it's 12 times around is a mile. It's a walking track. It's not a running track.
No, it's not up.
But it's as big as we could make it in the double basketball court.
No, he's going to provide us.
But, it's a great opportunity for indoor exercise. You can come in the building and take an elevator up and walk the track, and other events can go on.
Compared to the gym that's there now downstairs,
The fitness room?
is it the
It's
same
about,
size?
It's about, I think, 2.5 times the size.
Oh, great. No, because I know people do like to use the gym there.
It's pretty heavily used.
Yeah.
And it's generally used by people who walk to it from the area now, so it is not a big traffic generator.
Yeah, and all the people that are
And
going to
now
move
that you'll
into
have a lot
town.
more, that was the thinking and why it should become larger.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will use it.
Yep.
Be nice and new.
Yeah, of course. Everyone likes a new gym.
Well, we were directed also to keep entrances away from the residential side. So the gym windows face north, but all the principal entrances to the building are in Harrison and Calvert.
And you're able to have access to the gym separate than access to the workout room separate than access to the.
You can actually open the
museum?
fitness center and leave the rest of the building closed, the way the doors are worked out,
That's cool.
or vice versa, if you so chose.
So then you could have better hours for the workout rooms.
Right, and it cuts down your operating costs. It gives you options on renting out part of the facility or having a special event and having the fitness room function separately, sort of a modular public building design.
Anyone else? Anybody from the audience like to comment? Hey, Jim. No. Okay, would you like to add something? No, you good?
Good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and
Thank you. Thank you.
We look forward to moving forward with you again.
yes,
It's a great project for the town.
thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing the drawings, the new ones, the interiors. Yeah.
You'll get us updated copies.
So we could put it on our website.
Yeah, that's.
No, no.